and impact lives every day is always important. And I think that's how you continue to get your blessings, as when you're impacting that change and impacting other lives. So someone that leads. Being a leader is key when you're being an influencer. If you're scared to take lead, then you might not want to consider yourself an influencer, because as an influencer, you always have to lead the change and be the one that's at the forefront and at the head of change. So I think that is something that's really key to being an influencer, and just being, head of your craft. And so I think that's one that's really important, prepared to lead. Someone who is willing to walk alone. I mean, this is sometimes it's a lonely stride and a lonely walk when you're on your way to success and doing things that's different. So when you're making those changes and being an influencer, I think you have to really understand sometimes you will be walking alone. Not everyone understands your mission, understands your goal. And so I think a lot of times when you're out and making changes, you just have to be conscious of, not everyone's going to go with you. Not everyone's going to understand the path. And so sometimes you have to walk alone. We can move to the next slide. Another set of things that's important to be an influencer: education, empower, elevate, become the best at your craft. For me, every day I study, eat, breathe, sleep, being a chef. I know nothing else other than just that. And so I think when you're perfecting your craft and mastering your craft, I think you just have to eat, breathe, sleep that. Sometimes you have to go back and study a little more. I tend to watch every cooking show out there, not because I'm trying to understand food, but just to perfect and stay ahead of the game and hone my skills, and understand that as the industry changes, then I'm changing as well to make sure I'm at the cutting edge of the industry. So I think that's important to master your craft and to always study and be a student of whatever field you're in. And so that's important. Be present of your brand. Be a representative and be present of the brand. So for me, I walk around in a chef jacket 90% of the time, and people laugh like, "Chef, well, you always have a chef jacket on," because I represent the brand. I represent who I am as a chef. It just so happens that everyone wants to know who's the chef when he walks in with a chef jacket on, and so that's my easy way to become one with a new client, become one with a potential partner, and so forth. So I think just knowing your brand and representing your brand at all times, and staying true to that brand is key. Have a heart of a servant. Always wanting to serve, always wanting to give unselfishly is key. Whatever field you're in, is always trying to figure out how you can give and be a servant to others to impact their lives. Having humility is key, and it continues to help you with your blessings, continue to move ahead. So I think just having humility is key, and being humble within your progression, within your come up. You always want to just make sure that you just is very humble and have a great deal of humility as well. Let your word be your bond. A lot of times you hear that all the time. You hear people say, "My word's my bond." I say it, but I'm conscious when I say it, and not because I don't mean that, just because a lot of times I say, "My word's my bond, so I'll get it done." But I might not get it done in the time frame you want to get it done, but I do make sure that I follow through and get it done. So making sure your word is your bond, and just be key when you're saying that, because a lot of times we drop the ball, we can't do it right then and there. But I think as an influencer, we always just circle back and make sure that it gets done one way or another. So it might not get done in a time frame, but it will get done. Be a part of the solution, not the problem. I think that's key in this day and age. We're just always trying to figure out how we can be a part of the solution and how we can get to the end point of it. And let's work together with others to figure out how we make it work versus being a headache or being a problem and not getting it done. So that's key. Establish a never give up attitude. Every morning I wake up and I just think of just all the list of things that I have to get done, all the list of things, all the different jobs, all the different hats I have to wear, who's watching, how many people I'm influencing for the day, How's my staff looking at me? But I never give up. When the doors, you close, I always continue to rock forward. I always continue to, you know, feel like you're always progressing. And when you start looking at, oh, I don't have this, or start looking at negativity, then you start to give up. And so I always try to stay focused and move forward, never looking back. So if you're doing that, then you'll never give up. Be consistent in investing in your mind. Be consistent in everything you do. And when you're investing in yourself, you definitely have to be consistent and just always investing in yourself. Give yourself some time. Give yourself some time to think straight and be clear and understand your clear path. A lot of times we get busy and always running around going crazy, but I think it's important to always invest in yourself, give yourself a little time, and always have a clear head. If you don't have a clear head, you can never be an influencer, you can never be successful, you can never continue to grow if you don't have a little bit of a clear vision. So I think that's always important. Remember, it's never about you. It's always bigger than you. Some people that know me, they always hear me say, it's bigger than me. It's never about me, and that's true. And I live by that every day. It's always bigger than me. Hence the reason I started a culinary program. Hence the reason I work at the New York Food Bank to give back, because every day is always about others. Always how I can, influence and uplift others and change the world through this platform of being a chef. So that's always key. Educate others. You just heard me mention the culinary school. I started culinary school 4 years ago for that reason, to educate others and not so much teach them how to be chefs, but to give them some tangible life skills to take on to be great in life. So I just wanted to use the platform that I had as a chef to educate others. So whatever platform you have, whatever career field you're in, I think it's important to reach back and educate others through that. And it's not so much just starting a culinary school like I did, but more so just picking 2 or 3 people per day or per month, per week, and just kind of influencing them and educating them of some of the things that you do, some of the life lessons that you've been through. So I think that's really important. Create a healthy balance for your life. It's one thing that I work on every day. It's something that's important to me, but I'm working on this consistently every day, just having a healthy balance, because as an influencer, as this business guy, as a celebrity chef, and all these hats I wear, you just kind of get caught up on just trying to be great and trying to make it all work through your day. But sometimes you just can't get it all done, and you can't try to get it all done in one day. So I think the great thing is to have a balance of life, where some work, some play, some more hard work, and so I think those are a great way to balance out your life. So whatever your balance you need, whatever plan you're on, I think it's important to write out that balance and write out that plan and kind of stick by that and live by that. Be open to conscious criticism and feedback and constructive criticism, and I think that's one thing that I've worked on too. It's funny that I put these 2 last, because those are some of the things that I've worked on in the past year, 2 years. I was taking criticism as you're growing. You start growing, you start becoming successful. You just look at yourself like, oh, well, I got all the answers, but you really don't. And so when someone gives you criticism, you take that in stride and you apply it. You take for what it's worth and you apply it to your life. Not to say it's right, not to say it's wrong, but something that you can take and apply some of it to your life. So I think that's very key, to always take criticism and take feedback and just use bits and pieces of it and apply it to your life. It doesn't have to always be, oh, wow, this person said I should do this, Chef Max said I should do this, and no, I'm not saying that, but just take a little bit from what that I may have said and apply it to your life. So those are some of the keys to being an influencer as well. Education, power, and elevate. Elevate is always important, just to continue elevating as you grow. So influencer of human. We are definitely on a path to win. However, it's okay to make a mistake. I can't tell you how many life lessons, how many companies, how many different ideas and things that I've presented to my team, presented to the board of directors that for One Chef 86 Hunger, and we made mistakes, and we might have jumped out the window without a parachute, and so I think a lot of times we have to just create that that avenue as we jump. We don't know how it's going to happen, how we're going to land, but I think it's always okay to make mistakes, and as long as you keep fighting after you make the mistake and learn from that mistake. If you're not learning from your mistakes, then you're not an influencer, and you're not growing. So when you make mistakes, I think it's key to always remember that you can make mistakes, but just pick up the pieces and continue going, and never make that same mistake again, because it can either cost you too much money, too much time, wasted money and wasted time. So never make that same mistake twice. And I'm speaking because I've done it a few times, but it's important not to make that same mistake. Not all ideas are great. A lot of times we think we have these amazing ideas. I started a company, an aviation company, catering to private planes for different celebrities and athletes that's travel on private planes. Great idea. You think about, oh wow, I'm gonna make a lot of money and be great at this. And so it just happened to be a good idea, but it wasn't great. We do okay with it. It's nothing that's great. It took a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money to launch it, but it's one of those things where I thought it was a great idea. Everyone else thought it was good and cool, and it was really going to, make a lot of money, but it really wasn't. It was too ahead of its time. So all great ideas are not as great as we think. But when you have a great plan, you put it on paper and you just make sure you work out all the details of this great idea that you think, and listen to other people and take criticism from other people about your great ideas. They're not all great. A lot of times they hurt us more than they can help us. So not everyone's going to be like you. And that's another one that I had to really understand coming out of culinary school at 18, being an executive chef at 21 of a $7 million country club. No one understood that, how I could do it, how I'm going to do it, and how I'll make it work. And I just had to understand everyone's not going to go with me and understand the path that I'm on. So you have to, weigh out who's with you and who's not, and everyone can go with you. Everyone not going to succeed at the same time. Not everyone's going to, be on your level, and it's okay, because like I said before, it's a lonely path, and it's a bumpy path, and it's never going to be where you're going to have the same guys in the car with you at the end. So I think as you're riding through this thing we call life and success, I think you just have to dump off a few that doesn't represent you and represent your brand well and represent where you want to be and where you're going to go in life. So I think that's one that you really have to stay true to. Not everyone's going to go with you, and not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to like the ideas you have. So, and you just got to just understand that, and as an influencer, you have to influence them to do better, and you just can't expect them to be with you or ride with you. So that's one that you're going to have to just really, really stay true to and focus on. The opinions of others' opinions. I'm a guy where I just really care less about everyone's opinion. I take it in stride. I listen to it, but I can really care less about your opinion of where I'm going, who I am as a chef, and the importance of being an influencer. So you just have to really just put your head down, move forward, and take it in stride, take it in pieces. But put your head down and keep moving forward. You will fail, accept it and move on. We've had, a company failed. I had a company when I was 22 that didn't do well. If I would have stayed down, I would have been down forever. But the company failed, and we just kept pushing. We took a little bit of the things that we learned from that, and we moved forward into the next company. And now we have this company that's a multi-million-dollar company. But if I would have failed and only stayed down, then I would have been down forever. So failing and making mistakes is okay, but you have to continue. So any questions about making mistakes and falling, we can say for the end, or if you want to ask now, then you feel free. It's a lonely journey, like I said, but rewarding at the end of the day. It's definitely true when they say it's a rough road and it's a lonely road out there when you're growing and being successful and being an influence, because not everyone understands that. So just always keep that in your mind. You know, and a lot of times we go back and we circle back and try to take our friends, try to take others to on this journey with us. But if you don't know, if you don't understand my vision, or can't see it, or can't even understand the little bit of where we're going to go, then you really can't ride with me. So just always keep that in mind, that the journey is very lonely. I used to listen to T.D. Jakes, and he told me that years ago when I was listening to one of his sermons, and it was saying, you know, this road's going to be lonely. I didn't understand it until, you know, probably 3 years ago, where a lot of the guys that I started with when I was 21, 22 are long gone, and I always thought they'll ride with me forever. So, but no, it's definitely a lonely road. And you will never have all the answers. As successful as important we think we are as influencers, we have to really understand that we will not have all the answers. You have to turn to others to, take guidance, and always take guidance from others, and take guidance from, older folks. I always listen to the older folks because I think I'm an old head, but I like to always use them as a guide and a tool to give me some of the answers and perfecting this thing called life, and perfecting this influencer role that I have. So I just always try to use wisdom and knowledge from others to kind of guide me through into this success road to success. So yes, we will never have all the answers, but as long as we keep taking great strides and taking influences from others and taking bits and pieces, we can kind of build our own road and build our own map to success. A few of my keys to success. It was a quote that was very important to me, that I live and die by. If you can dream it, you can do it. Everything that I've obtained, all the accolades and all the different things that I've done in my life, like it's really not happen. It didn't happen overnight. I used to dream about being a chef. I used to dream about going to the NBA. I used to dream about all these things. I used to dream about living in New York. I used to dream about, being with the Urban League and being in Black Enterprise and doing all these amazing things that I've had a chance to do. But I had to dream it, and I continue to dream things now. I continue to put it on paper and bring it to fruition. Because I think it's, it's key to write things down and just because that brings your dreams. That brings just, if you're thinking about it all the time, it's a law of attraction, which I think when you're going through life and going through different situations and your road to success and to being an influence, I think that's just kind of key things that you could do. Some of my personal secrets and favorites is prayer. I pray every day, all day, and things that, not just so much things that I want, but just praying for thanks and giving me strength, wisdom, and knowledge to continue into going to continue this journey. So prayer is definitely a big one for me. Treating every opportunity like it's your last. And every day I wake up and I'm always looking for the big opportunity. I'm always treating every day, every opportunity as it's going to be my only opportunity. 2 nights ago, I had the honor to cook at the James Beard House, which is the White House for chefs. Not many African American chefs get the chance to cook in there, and those was one of the things that when I got there, I was like, we have to kill this, this dinner tonight. We have to be the best we possibly be tonight, so we might not have another chance to get in this house. It's one of the things that's just very rare. We might not have another shot at it, so let's make sure that we make everything the best possible we can make it. And it was just an amazing success. So I think every time you get a chance to walk into a boardroom, every time you get a chance to talk to someone, every time you get a chance to cook, to write, to whatever your goal is and whatever your career field is, every chance you get a chance to knock the door down, you knock it down. And establish a great work ethic. I think the only person that can outwork me is Puffy. I think he's someone that works tremendously hard, and I look to him every day of his work ethic, and I try to be that every day. I try to create my my own lane, but at the same time, I think my work ethic is superb. I just hit the ground running every morning at 6 a.m. And I probably end about 2. So I don't sleep much, but at the end of the day, I think that work ethic, it'll pay off, and it shortens your how hard you work. So I always figure if I work this hard to 40, then I'm done. But my work ethic right now is like just go, 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 go. I'm in overdrive now. So I think till you get to that point where you're happy and you have a decent success level, I think you have to create this work ethic that's, you know, second to none, and that has to be your focus if you're only going to be on this road to success. And everybody values success at a different level. So whatever you think your success is, then I think you just really need to create that work ethic that stays true to what your success is going to be, or how important you're going to be as an influencer, or your success table. So stay true to your values and morals. Whatever values and morals you have and you've created, either it came from a childhood or it came just in the last 10 years or the last 5 years, whatever those ethics and morals are, I think you stay true to that. I'm a big believer in staying true to just the things that my parents have taught me, staying true to just the morals and values that I have. So I think it's very important and very key to stay true to that. And then set realistic goals. You know, I think weekly goals are always important. I think a lot of times we make these big goals at the beginning of the year, and we're going to say we're going to do this, we're going to go to the gym, we're going to be this, we're going to do all these amazing things at the beginning of the year, but then by May we've lost track on it. So what I try to do is set up a weekly goals and make sure that I'm moving towards exceeding those goals. And so on Sunday night, I kind of write my goals out for the week and make sure that I'm going to hit those goals for the weekend. And you say set realistic ones though. Don't, I'm going to be a millionaire this week. No, you're really not going to be a millionaire this week. Could I do better? Could I pray more? Could I have a better work ethic this week? Those are some of the things that you can reach and touch more than anything. But you should have a big list of goals. That you have a yearly goal, you have a month goal, you have, quarterly goals. But I think every week, if you have a realistic set of goals weekly, it makes you true to those goals, and put an onus on you weekly versus 6 months quarterly and so forth. So if you have any questions, send them for the Q&A, and we'll get through and chit-chat a little bit more. Simply my message to myself and to you, every day I kind of read this to myself just because it's important to me to understand just how success and how being an influencer is, but it's something that just put the onus on me every day. I do not take the responsibility of being an influencer lightly. I'm humbled and honored to be a person in this position to impact change and help others identify the greatness within. I am able to influence one person and help them fulfill their potential. Then I truly, truly blessed to walk in this purpose and carry out the vision of my destiny. This is something that I read to myself. It's on my refrigerator. It's in my bedroom, and it's something I just read every day just to kind of keep me true and know the direction I'm going in, and how important it is to be an influencer, how important it is to impact others' lives. So it's something that you can steal from me. You can create a little bit of it. You can take some of it. You can, have this same thing, and something you can put on your vision board, or I like to put it on my refrigerator. So every time I grab something on the refrigerator, I'm always reading. I always see it, and I think that's just the law of attraction. So I thank you. Looking forward to your questions in the Q&A. Thank you so much.
Wow. Even though most of the speakers have been friends of mine, including yourself, Mr. Chef Max, always learning something new, not only about the person, but ways to up my own game. So in terms of, everyone's very curious on, how often do you personally, but then how often do you maybe suggest that people evaluate what they would call a SWAT analysis, or evaluate kind of where they are, SWAT being the strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and why can't I ever get that correct? Strength, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats to you, your brand, your business. I mean, part of who you are is definitely your business. For some people, they have a job. So how often do you think, you kind of evaluate where you are personally, and then how often do you think people should, arrange?
Well, I mean, I talked to both. I mean, just when I was had a job, when I was executive chef of hotels and restaurants and country clubs and so forth, it was I used to try to do it on a quarterly evaluation of like just where I'm at. What could I have done better? Was my inventory right? Was my finances right for that month within within wherever I worked at? So I gave myself a quarterly kind of benchmark, and then personally, on now being running my own company, I almost do it every day. I mean, it's a little crazy, but I'm always just trying to see where I'm at in the industry. And that goes back to me just studying and always understanding the art of my craft. But I think you definitely should do definitely a monthly evaluation of just where you're at, where you could be, and making sure that you're abreast of what's going on in your industry, and how can you either set the tone, be that influencer to get to the next level. But I think it's definitely a monthly and definitely a quarterly thing. But monthly, personally, that's what I do. But I think definitely you should definitely do something that monthly or quarterly.
And as often as you kind of, as you stated, not that you don't care about people's opinions, but you definitely take them with a grain of salt. How do you make yourself stand out or compare? There has to be some comparison if you're watching all of these different chef shows and, you have your own stuff out. So how do you gauge kind of where you are in comparison, I would say, to your peers and even those who you are, still in awe of, to make sure that you're still keeping an edge? Like, how do you
Well, I
keep
think
refine, not taking those opinions personally?
well, I think it's you take the criticism from others, and if someone says, "Hey, chef, you should have played it something like this," right? So I take that and I say, "Oh, well, maybe that's right," or I'll look into that. It was funny. I was at a restaurant a couple of days ago, and the lady was telling me how she fries chicken, and I was like, "Well, there's only a few ways to fry chicken," and she had a whole different method. And so then I had to go back and do a little research, like, "Oh wow, I mean, I guess I could fry it this way with this." She rendered the chicken fat, and I was like, okay, yeah, I could take the chicken fat and render it and then fry it on his own fat, and that kind of makes sense. Um, but not that I didn't believe her, I just took for what she said, and I had to go back and do my own research and make sure it's great. So when someone tells me something or someone suggests something, I take it and internalize it, but not I don't like just dwell on what they said and change that. But when I do look at other chefs and look at other things that's out there, I just take a little bit from each um, and kind of just see where they're perfected that dish or that craft or that business model. And not that I don't care what they're doing, I'm never going to follow what they're doing, but I'll just take in stride with their little bit of pieces of what they're doing to perfect what I'm doing. So.
Gotcha. So how do you quantify your influencer impact? Like how, do you count and keep track of, is it by social platform? Is it how often, you're asked to speak and do things? Is it the number of clients that I mean, how do you know that you're making it? How do you know that you're making an impact? And then how do you think others should maybe keep track? And I, personally think it's different depending on the industry you're in, what you're doing, and where you are in your career, maybe at the beginning, middle, or end, of how much your influence or like how much you can quantify it. But for your specific, how do you quantify, how much influence you have at the food bank versus how much influence you have with your book, how much influence you have with the culinary school? Like, how do you
Well,
judge?
or as a personal chef and as a business guy, I think, I quantify it as the checks continue to come in, as the phone continue, I mean that,
Okay,
you know,
that's
we always, that's business wise. You know, if the phone keep ringing, then I think you're doing something right. When the phone stop ringing, then you need to reevaluate just, you know, how you look at business, how you're handling your business. And maybe you're not at the forefront of your, you know, your career, of your company, your industry, if you're not, if the phone stop ringing. Um, so that's as a personal chef. As um, in the culinary school and giving back to the communities, I think it goes back and forth too. How many kids do I impact? How many kids have I helped go to culinary school this year? How many kids have I helped go to just a university and post-education? Um, how many times do I walk out of, you know, the food bank, or I get an email saying, hey chef, thanks for talking to us. Hey chef, thanks for taking 2 minutes of your time. That kind of quantifies as just my success within the community. And then also too within the community, how much my phone continues to ring to come do speaking engagements, to come teach, or, you know, hey chef, I got 6 kids, man, they all want to come, you know, to be chefs. Do you think you can fly to Atlanta and come talk to them? Absolutely, I'm there. So I think it's when the phone stops ringing is when you get worried, and that's what quantifies me as a businessman, as a chef, as a person. So I think those are some of the things that you can kind of gauge where you're at. I like social media platforms. You know, I guess you can, some people might say if I got 1 million followers, then I'm doing something right. And I think that's important too, to just know your brand and know your social media setting at this point in the game. So I think if you're, you know, getting followers every day, and you're growing within that social media platform, I think that could be a level of success, a level of a benchmark to if you're doing things right. But I always say when the phone stop ringing, the checks stop coming, then we got a problem.
right. So I would take that as if you guys are, you know, employed instead of working for yourself and entrepreneurial, you know, the way you can judge and quantify your influence or impact in your industry is one, you know, are you being asked by your boss to be part of more projects? Are you being asked to, you know, lead a committee in one of the professional organizations you might be part of? You know, are you also there for getting a raise? Back to the money part, we can always get a new title, but is it coming with more money, not just responsibility? And then sometimes you have to ask yourself, maybe you're not making that much influence or an impact either by the amount of time that you're putting in, or the amount of time that you know, that you can't really quantify because you can't do it yourself. So sometimes in a employer-employee situation, it's a little harder to make that impact because it's your boss or someone else who's going to get some of that credit. So just keep that in mind, but that doesn't mean you can't make an influence, because if you make your boss look good, that's how you're going to get the raise and get the other things. Other questions are more about, like, you know, when, you know, how do you overcome, you know, the big 4-letter word of fear, and the other big 4-letter word of risk, you know, where, you know, the fear of taking these big risks, or like you tried with your, you know, high-fluting, flying food services, which didn't really work out. Like, how do you know when to go big and when to go home, really?
Well, I mean, I think it goes back to this knowing where you want to be. And if you want to be at the top of your game, whether it be at work for someone or, you know, running your own company, I think you're gonna have to take risks. You're gonna have to take the big shot sometime. And you never know when the big shot is, you know, you're gonna take it. You know, just sometimes you have to take it, and then if you see it's, you know, you're not gonna hit it, you might have to try to get the rebound, and pick up the pieces where, you know, where you slacked off. So I think for me, it's never, I don't know. Sometimes I think of some great ideas, and I'm like, I'm gonna sit on this for a little bit. I would pray over it for a little bit, because you don't know when you should take the shot and you shouldn't. You know, there's a lot of times when it comes to you, you have to react, and you don't have a lot of time to not react. So I think it's important to always be looking to take the big shot. You know, I'm always the guy that wants to take the shot. I want to take the opportunity. You know, if it's, chef, can you do a wedding for 500 people tomorrow? Absolutely. I have no food in the house, but we'll get it done. You know, you got to just know sometimes is of just who you are and where you're at in your career before you take that shot too. You know, if you just started at the company, maybe you can't lead a big board meeting tomorrow. You just started, so you don't have enough details. You don't have enough time. You don't have enough investment into that company to take that that obstacle on. So I just think you always have to just give yourself a benchmark of, hey, should I take this opportunity? Should I try this company? Should I take this risk? You know, fear is always going to be in it. It's always going to be something that's around. You know, but you always got to just think of being fearless and taking and trying to make an opportunity out of nothing sometimes. So when I took the opportunity to create this catering company, yeah, I was scared. I didn't know it was a new lane for me. You know, I'd probably been on a private plane once or twice. Didn't really understand the demographics of it. Didn't understand the mindset of the people that take private planes everywhere. So I took a risk not knowing the industry well enough. And I should have did a little more homework before I took that big shot. So I think, you know, just when you're taking a risk, when you're taking a jump from going from employment to running your own company, or you take the risk of writing a book one day, or, you know, starting a new company, you have to really do your research first before you jump out there, because the fear will be there. But fear combined with not having the right tools or not having the right understanding of that, whatever task you're going to do, it will result in failure or a setback. So understanding all of it and giving yourself the ample amount of information and tools will make you more successful at whatever you choose to do.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, and you know, it's the idea that we all believe or want to believe that we can do everything, but then have to realize and step back and realize that we can't, and understand where you might need some help. So how do you really get people to either take you seriously, believe in what you're trying to do, and then how do you kind of get different people to support you? Like everything you do, you don't do alone. You know, just like a boss or anyone else, like there's ideas, but you know, you're not a digital strategist. You're, you know, yes, you cook, but you're not doing all of your finances and your books. Like, so how do you decide, you know, who you can be more vulnerable to ask for assistance? And then how do you get people to believe in what you wanted, even if it's not successful? How do you, you know, get them to believe in whatever Max wants to do next?
Well, for me, you know, I've been through 2 boards of directors for my foundation. I've been through and probably only 2 assistants. I have 2 assistants that I've had for the last, I don't know, almost 10 years. But they were true to me just because they knew I ate, breathe, sleep being a chef. And the visions that I've had, I've just worked hard at those visions, and I put the work in to show them how important it was to me before I even asked them to come on board to be a part of the mission or the movement. So I think you first have to believe in what you're doing and sell it to yourself first. And once you sell it to yourself and you're true to yourself and true to that vision, then I think other people will see that you're serious and see that, wow, maybe I can help them. Maybe, you know, because I've literally never had to go interview an assistant, interview an accountant, interview board of directors. I haven't had the opportunity to reach out to anyone. People always reach out to me because I think I put the work in and shown just how important these things were to me before I even started the company or started, you know, the culinary school or started the foundation. It was just, all right, I'm gonna go out here and do this work first, and then once I get back and start doing all these things, people recognize that, and it's naturally a conversation that'll come. So I think, you know, trusting people is always hard, and trusting the right people, because you never know who's the right, you know, the right fit. I think if you just go out and do the work, then by the law of attraction, I think God just send the right players and to you. So believing in the goal, believing in the dream, believing in the company before anyone else knows or can believe in it. You have to really believe in it and push it. So I think that's the key to that.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, you are still on the edge right now of still trying to push some projects and things that are in progress, but not till they're full. So, like the book and the TV show, even your, Crab and Cruise, which is coming up that, no one has heard of if they don't live in Maryland maybe, or they've heard of and haven't made it. So you're always pushing your brand. So, what keeps you kind of motivated when you're not getting all those calls and you're not getting all the sales, then what do? Do you re-strategize? Do you get your team together? What's the action plan?
Yeah, so like say the Crab and Cruise, for example. We've been doing the Crab and Cruise 4 years, and we're just starting to pick up some storm and some steam behind it. Now we have folks coming from England for the week to come to Crab and Cruise. Now it's becoming a thing where people are coming from all over the country to come to Crab and Cruise. But at the beginning, they started with 300 people. Now it gets up to like 600 people, and now we went from doing 1 for the summer to now doing 8 for the summer. And it just took some restructuring. It took meeting with the team and kind of figuring out, hey, how we're gonna make a bigger impact within this. What can we do to make this bigger? We didn't have a hotel that was close to where we hosted at, so we had to reorganize that. And then versus us saying, okay, we're going to ship people, to another hotel 10 miles away. No, we're going to build a hotel. We're going to buy some condos and do bed and breakfasts. And so, again, we went bigger than we've have in the past, and where the vision now is like, okay, we got to really make this event big because we got to support a hotel behind it year round. So it's just
Gotcha.
Restructure, bring your team together and figuring out the next move. And if it's not working for that particular industry, that particular company, or your idea is not working, don't scrap it. Mm-hmm. Just figure out how you can re-strategize. Just because it's not working right now doesn't mean that it's dead forever. Maybe it's not the time for it yet. My Chef Jacket clothing line, I thought of this jacket clothing line 10 years ago, but it wasn't time yet. And it's now just becoming time for us to release this jacket. We released them 4 years ago, and we didn't get enough. We get enough sales. But if I would have scrapped it and said, no, this is a bad idea, then I wouldn't have just got to deal with Chefware, which is the larger company that said, okay, wow, you're doing these cool chef jackets. We want to buy you out. We want to, make you do a signature jacket with us. So if I would have scrapped the idea, then I wouldn't have got the big shot. It wasn't time yet. So I think a lot of things that we plan and put to fruition, I think we just have to wait for timing. But you still have to perfect it and spend time and nurture it. But sometimes it's not time. But you shouldn't scrap it. Just figure out how to strategize and make it make sense tomorrow or a year from now, if it's not working today.
I mean, that goes back to some of your keys and points. Patience is definitely a virtue. We're definitely not in the era of people having patience and wanting to wait. We're in the era of now, me. But sometimes waiting is good, or, in your case, if a blessing doesn't happen or something doesn't happen, it's probably for a reason at that time. And when it does, it could be bigger. So those of you that are on the line and in the audience, it's the idea that, listening to Chef Max, everything in his life currently, when, he's focused on food, culinary is at the center and heart of everything that he does, so it always comes back to that. So whatever your thing is, whatever your industry is, whatever you're trying to accomplish, whether it's PR, whether or not it's IT, whether it's not becoming the best app director and designer and specialist, if that is your thing, you do need to eat, breathe, live, and be all of that, and kind of look at who else is around you. Not everyone is an enemy. Some people could definitely help you and support you, and they'll weed themselves out, and sometimes you'll be the helpful one, and sometimes you might not be. But I think it's the idea of staying consistent, constantly evaluating yourself and really allowing yourself to go after some of the bigger things, but knowing that it might not happen overnight. And there are some overnight success stories, and maybe you'll be one. You know, Chef Max did not, it was not his original plan to go and be a chef. So sometimes we also fall into things that we did not plan to do. So I just want to thank you, Chef Max, for joining us this afternoon. And I hope people are going to be able to leverage what they learned today. I want to let everyone know that the presentation will be made available after we edit it in about a week or so. So it will go live. Please answer your survey, and then you will receive the link from today's presentation. Everyone loved your keys and your tips, and a lot of folks said that they also, you know, do their prayers. So there's a lot of praying going on, which hopefully that all works in our favor. And I do want to announce that we are getting ready for our summer series, which will kick off on June 1st. We will have a June 1st, June 15th, June 29th, and end on July 13th to give us a week or a month or so, not even a few weeks, to get ready for our large National Urban League Conference, which will take place in Baltimore, August 4th through the 7th. And hopefully you'll join us, or maybe you'll come to us and then go to Chef Max Crab and Cruise right after. He'll have one that first weekend. But the summer series is really where your passion meets your paycheck. So today we heard about Chef Max's passion for food, the culinary, empowering the next generation of those who want to be in that field, and anything else that's trying to be positive. And so finding out the secrets of loving what you do and getting paid to do it. I found a few of my own niche markets myself along the way, part because things happen in my life to stop me from the things I thought I wanted to do, and sometimes people also just pull you into things. So we will have them, two of them will be sponsored, one by Yum Brands and the other by FedEx, and they will bring a perspective from the corporate side, and the other two sessions will be really how to leverage your positions and leverage the nonprofit and government industries, government ranging everything from being on the Hill to working with local government officials or city electives, and the nonprofit sector from small mom and pops all the way up to a large National Urban League or a Clinton Foundation or the Beard Foundation, where the impacts that these organizations can make not only on your own personal career and lives, but that you can make to leverage and become truly an influencer, as Max has in his industry. Often we don't look at those two industries as being so helpful, or that you make less money, or they're not as secure. And we're here to dispel those myths and show you the really positive side of how you can not only gain skills, but really influence your power over those industries, and then sometimes cross over. So sector switching. I know a lot of you often will end up in work that suddenly is not what you expected, but really stick to your passion, become an influencer in your space, and then the summer is your time to really hone in on some of those skills. So we hope you'll join us on June 1st for the kickoff. And I just want to thank Chef Max once again for joining us. And if there is one last thing you'd like to leave with the audience, a word of advice or a tip or something they should walk away with, or something they should do in the next month or so to help influence their industry or their career. Any words of the wise?
I mean, I always say keep cooking, but not everyone is a chef. But no, I just think just always, you know, staying humble and staying true to who you are as a person, as a business person, within your community, within your just niche of whatever you're doing. Staying true to that and staying humble is always key. So again, I thank you for having me, and look forward to working together again.
Fabulous. And if you want to follow Chef Max, please find him on Twitter and or Facebook. And I'm sure he'd love to hear from you, from anyone in the audience today, whether or not you're going into culinary, you have one more question or words of advice. He's usually quick to answer. So have a great rest of your afternoon. The weather, for those of us in New York, it's finally summer, springish time, so get outdoors today and have a fabulous rest of your week. Be successful.